This one is not in the Google Drive, okay? So I start with the reference of the paper. Always start with the reference of the paper. So how do I find this reference? I go to the paper, get the title, get the author, go to the Scholar Google, and use the cite tool. Everybody knows how to use the cite tool? Okay. You three, I don't think they were with us with the last semester. So we are going to see a little today too. So there is this button in the Google Chrome. Okay. If you don't have this button, you just can click to find the Scholar Google. So if you want to find some article, some paper, just like so this is the book from Judith Butler about gender. So if I want to make the summary of this book in my big file, I go to that tool site, click. So they have 3 different norms. Normally we choose NBR 6023, that it's a BNT. Some events or reviews use APA. So in this case, you use this one. So you start with this information. You can see that this information is without the city. Not every time this information is correct. So you use the information from the cite tool as a first step, and then the missing information you have to find through the internet, okay? So you start with this, and then put this as the first information. I know that the Routledge publisher is from New York, so if I was to use this reference, I had to put this information here. Okay? So you always start with this first line, and then you start clipping the information just like the journalists do. You pick the important information from that questions from 5W and 1H, and after you finish, you go to the second paper. The second paper, I put a line just like this. In LibreOffice, they let you erase that line later. In Word, it's better to put many X's or many equal letters because this line is not erasable at Microsoft Word. So you put many summaries of papers and books and etc. like this, and the next step is to categorize information, okay? There are many NBRs. So there is one NBR to cite information, cite papers or anything inside the paper. There is another NBR to tables, another NBR to reference at the end of the paper, and all these are called the ABNT norms, but each one is a different number. Okay. Okay.
We also want to look at binder.
Mm-hmm.
What is favorite word in binder?
It's a little old. So the binder that she uses, I usually do at the big one file in Word. If you don't like making a big one file, you can make a folder with little files like many TXT. You can make many files. So each person has a different way of working. So throughout the process of trial and error along these 11 years after the master degree, I tried many methods, and this one worked for me. So I stick with this method. I already tried by finding the words that were the main words for my field of study. This does not work. I tried to read the entire texts in a big folder of 100 papers, and it did not work also. So this technique of reading at the first reading just the first phrase of the paragraph, it was the better way of working for me. But everyone is different, and I don't know if this is gonna work for everybody. Okay. So the things to do list is very useful because when you get that freak out of the blank page, everybody had this, I think. So you start having that blank feeling of not knowing how to do. So before start freaking out, you do the things to do list, and this things to do list is usually like the summary of your dissertation, but it's not in the order of the presentation of this in the summary. So the first thing is the literature review, then it is the methodology. After, you can write the chronogram and then the introduction. After you do these things that are not in the way that they are presented in the summary, you go to the field and you get crazy because the agenda doesn't match, the budget doesn't match, and everything doesn't match. So after you go to the field, you categorize data, or before you can have it transcribed or tabled, and then you categorize. After you categorize, you put this in a beautiful text and discuss with the authors that are in your literature review. Sometimes your field data are not well behaved, so the things that you research to do your literature review are not the things that you are going to use in your to discuss your research data. It's normal, it's okay. So you can to every data you can go to the periódicos CAPES and look for the words that are the keywords in your answers or in your questions, and then see if there are papers or dissertation or anything that it's useful to analyze that data. So usually I don't go to my literature review to find the data to my discussion. I go to the periódicos CAPES because it's more useful. I already know that the field always behave badly, the data from periódicos CAPES and from Cielo are more useful than your literature review. Okay. So I don't recommend that you read the papers or the books and let them be in the printed version with notes on every book. The better way that I used to work is this. When I have to read a book, I scan the book, so I do the OCR with the book, and then with that OCR, I usually clip the things that I am going to need, and then put in that big file. Because if you have to think, where is this book? You don't know if your daughter hid the book in any place, or if your dog pissed the book off, or anything. You got me. So if you scan the book, you get a better feeling of the chapters that are inside it, and the way to phrase the things after you read is going to get a little better. So if you can't scan the chapters or the books at home, you can use your work to do that just for your personal use because of the author rights, okay? So you have to build a skeleton, a puppet of your work. And after you outline your work, you can write the full version. Okay. She makes an apology to Richard Rorty and his pragmatism philosophy. Okay. She makes an apology to John Dewey too. She makes some apology to Peircean's semiotics. Okay, so one thing that it's important of the Peircean thought that the author says is that sometimes we have a very hard system of beliefs that prevents us of seeing what is really going on with the data. So in the 7th page, she says that if we can't be put in a state of doubt before analyzing our data, or in the moment of analyzing our data, we are not going to see anything that it's outside our belief system. So it's important to get in this state of doubt so that we can see fully our research data. Okay. So from Dewey, the author picks this one. The essence of critical thinking is suspended judgment, and the essence of this suspense is inquiry to determine the nature of the problem before proceeding to attempt at its solution. So I can be passionate about my study research theme. I can be very engaged to that set of ideas, but when I see the field data, when I see the literature of the area, I have to have this this feature of suspended judgment, or else I will not go out of my comfort zone. I will not learn anything, okay? In the other side, we have Rubem Alves that says that science is only a way of refined common sense. So there are these two positions. This author, she says that we have to go out of our comfort zone and try to suspend our belief system, and the other one says that it's impossible, and we are only refining our belief system through the scientific method. I don't know. I think we fall between some of these extremes. We fall in the middle, some point of the middle. Okay. So Dewey also says that we can use thinking to build concrete ideas or abstract ideas. When we build theory is abstract. When we build directives, we build concrete things. Okay. So that's all, folks. There are some examples, and she, at the last page, she makes some example of how she developed an outline of a paper. So the appendix that she gives in this paper are very useful. Okay. Thanks.